"You're staring at him again." Lady Margaret's whisper cut through the ballroom's music like a blade. Rosalind Ashford didn't flinch, didn't look away from the tall, dark figure standing alone by the marble columns. Sebastian Blackwell, Duke of Ravenswood, the man who had never once looked in her direction. "I'm not staring, I'm observing." "For 2 years, Rosalind. 2 years of observing a man who doesn't know you exist." Rosalind's fingers tightened on her champagne glass. "He knows I exist. He simply doesn't care." "Then make him care. How I'm 24, 3 failed seasons, no fortune, no extraordinary beauty. I'm invisible, Margaret." Margaret grabbed her arm, pulling her behind a potted palm. Her eyes glittered with mischief. "Then stop being invisible. Stop waiting for him to notice you." She nodded toward the dance floor, where a golden-haired man was charming a circle of giggling debutantes. "His brother notices everyone." Rosalind followed her gaze. Lord Damien Blackwell. Younger, warmer, everything Sebastian wasn't. "Damien? What does Damien have to do with everything?" Margaret's smile turned wicked. "You want the Duke to see you. Make him watch another man want you. Make him watch his own brother fall at your feet. That's manipulative. That's strategy. You've tried being good and invisible for 3 seasons. Where has it gotten you?" Rosalind's heart pounded. Across the room, Sebastian raised his glass to his lips. His grey eyes swept the ballroom with cold disinterest, passing over her like she was furniture. Something inside her cracked. "What exactly are you proposing? 2 weeks later, the Hartington ball." Martha, her lady's maid, stepped back with wide eyes. "My lady, you look different." Rosalind examined herself in the mirror. Crimson silk instead of pale pink, hair loose and wild instead of pinned, rouge on her lips. "You look dangerous." "Good." Rosalind smoothed her skirts. "That's precisely the point. Your father won't approve." "My father barely notices what I wear. He's too busy hoping I'll finally catch someone." "Anyone." She turned from the mirror. "Tonight, Martha, I'm going to catch someone. Just not the way anyone expects." The ballroom fell silent when she descended the stairs. Or perhaps that was her imagination. But heads did turn, whispers did follow, and across the room, standing with his mother, Sebastian Blackwell looked up. For the first time in 2 years, his eyes stopped on her. Really stopped. Rosalind felt that gaze like a physical touch. Her skin heated, her pulse raced. Don't look at him. Not yet. Make him wonder. She deliberately turned toward Damien, who was already moving through the crowd with an appreciative smile. "Lady Rosalind," his voice was warm honey. "I almost didn't recognize you. You're absolutely radiant tonight." "Lord Damien," she offered her hand. "How kind." "Kind, I'm being truthful." "You've transformed." He leaned closer. "What's the occasion?" "Perhaps I grew tired of being overlooked." "Then every man in London is a fool. Would you honour me with a dance?" From the corner of her eye, Rosalind saw Sebastian's jaw tighten. His mother whispered something. He didn't respond. "I would love nothing more, Lord Damien." Damien danced beautifully. He talked easily about art, travel, his dreams of adventure. "You've been to Italy 3 times?" Rosalind asked. 4, though the last time I was supposedly studying architecture. In reality, I was drinking wine and avoiding my brother's lectures about duty. The Duke lectures you, constantly." Damien rolled his eyes fondly. "Sebastian believes everyone should be as serious as he is. Brooding, responsible, miserable." "He doesn't seem miserable. He seems cold," Damien supplied. "That's his armour. He wasn't always like that. Before Eleanor, he was different." Rosalind's heart stuttered. Eleanor. Something flickered in Damien's eyes. Caution, perhaps. His former fiancée. She died 4 years ago. Sebastian. He blamed himself. He's never been the same. The music swelled. Rosalind processed this new information while Damien spun her past the watching crowd. I shouldn't have mentioned her. Damien's voice dropped. Sebastian doesn't speak of it, ever. You won't tell him I said anything. Of course not. But her mind raced. Sebastian's coldness wasn't arrogance. It was grief. It was guilt. He's not unfeeling. He's afraid of feeling. The waltz ended. Damien kept her hand. Would you take a turn in the garden with me, Lady Rosalind? The night is beautiful, and I find I'm not ready to share you with the ballroom yet. Over Damien's shoulder, Sebastian stood rigid. His champagne glass had developed a crack from his grip. The garden sounds lovely, Rosalind said clearly. The Dowager Duchess Helena appeared at Sebastian's elbow. Her voice was silk over steel. Your brother seems quite taken with Lady Rosalind Ashford. Sebastian didn't respond. The Earl of Ashford's daughter, 3 seasons no offers, rather plain, usually, though tonight, Helena smiled. Tonight she looks like a woman with a purpose. She's not suitable for Damien. Oh, and who would you consider suitable for him? Silence. Or perhaps... Helena's eyes glittered. She's not suitable for Damien because you want her for yourself. Don't be ridiculous, Mother. I'm never ridiculous, Sebastian. I'm observant. You've been watching her all evening. You crushed your glass when she danced with your brother, and now I'm leaving. Sebastian set down his damaged glass. I have estate matters to attend to. At 11 o'clock at night. Good night, Mother. But he didn't leave. Instead, he found himself walking toward the garden doors, toward the terrace that overlooked the moonlit paths. He told himself he was simply getting air. He didn't believe it for a moment. You're not like the others. Damien's voice was soft as they walked the rose-lined path. Most women I meet are performing, laughing at jokes that aren't funny, agreeing with opinions they don't hold. Perhaps they're nervous. Perhaps. But you... He stopped walking. You have this quality, like you're actually listening, like you see past the charm to the man beneath. Rosalind's guilt twisted. She wasn't seeing him. She was using him. Lord Damien. Damien, please. Damien. She took a breath. You barely know me. I know you love Turner's paintings. I know you read Tennyson in the original rather than the popular adaptations. I know you take your tea with exactly 1 sugar, and you tap your finger when you're bored. He smiled. I pay attention, Lady Rosalind, when someone is worth paying attention to. I didn't realize you noticed such things. My brother isn't the only one capable of observation. I simply don't brood about it afterward. From somewhere above them on the terrace, a shadow moved. Rosalind's breath caught. Sebastian. He was watching, just as she'd planned. But something about his silhouette, rigid alone haunted, made her chest ache. Damien touched her chin, turning her face back to him. You're distracted. Forgive me. I thought I saw... My brother... Damien's voice held no accusation, just knowing. He watches everything from a distance. That's Sebastian, too afraid to participate in life, so he stands apart and judges instead. That's harsh. It's true. He wasn't always this way. But after Eleanor... Damien sighed. He locked away his heart and threw away the key. Sometimes I wonder if any woman could find it. I want to try. Rosalind thought desperately. I want to find it. But she was here with Damien, playing a game that was starting to feel less like strategy and more like cruelty. We should return, she said abruptly. People will talk. Let them. Damien, please. He studied her face for a long moment, then nodded, offering his arm. As you wish, Lady Rosalind, but I should warn you I'm not giving up. Whatever you're afraid of, I intend to prove I'm worth the risk. Rosalind slipped away from Damien at the ballroom entrance, claiming a need for the retiring room. Instead, she found herself on the terrace. He was still there, alone, staring at the garden where she'd walked with his brother. Your Grace. Sebastian turned. In the moonlight, his face was all sharp angles and shadows. Lady Rosalind. His voice was ice. Shouldn't you be with Damien? Shouldn't you be inside dancing with the eligible young ladies? I understand Lady Vivian Cresswell has been waiting all evening for your attention. Something flickered in his eyes. I don't dance. You don't do many things from what I hear. Dance, smile, participate in any human connection. You seem to have formed quite an opinion of me. 3 seasons of observation, Your Grace. She moved to stand beside him at the railing. You stand in corners. You watch but never engage. You make everyone believe you're above them. And what do you believe, Lady Rosalind? The question hung between them. Rosalind's heart pounded. I believe you're afraid. His jaw tightened. Careful. Of what you've never spoken to me before tonight. After this, you'll go back to pretending I don't exist. What do I have to lose? You seem to have my brother's attention. That's something. Is it? She turned to face him directly. Damien is charming, kind, attentive. Everything a woman should want. Then why do you sound unconvinced? Perhaps because charm isn't everything. She held his gaze. Perhaps because some women prefer depth over sparkle, substance over surface. Silence stretched between them. Sebastian's grey eyes searched her face as though looking for something hidden. You've changed, he said finally. The woman I've seen at these events for 3 years, she wore pastels. She stayed quiet. She hid. Maybe I'm tired of hiding. Or maybe you're performing. He stepped closer. Close enough that she could smell sandalwood and something darker. The question is, for whom? Rosalind's breath caught. He suspects. He sees through me. Does it matter? It might. His voice dropped. If the performance is for my brother, it's effective. He's half in love with you already. And if it's not for your brother... Sebastian went very still. Then it's dangerous, for both of us. He stepped back. The cold returned to his eyes. Enjoy your evening, Lady Rosalind. Damien is waiting. He walked away. Rosalind gripped the railing, trembling. The game had begun. But she was no longer certain who was playing whom. The morning after the Hartington ball, Rosalind woke to the scent of roses. Martha stood at her bedside with an expression caught between alarm and delight. There are flowers, my lady, many flowers. Rosalind pushed herself upright. What do you mean, many? The drawing-room looked like a botanical garden had exploded. Roses in every shade from blush to crimson. Lilies, orchids, and in the centre of it all, a card bearing elegant script. Last night was merely the beginning. I intend to prove myself worthy of your time, your thoughts, and eventually your heart. Yours, Damien. Her father appeared in the doorway, newspaper forgotten in his hand. Rosalind, what on earth have you done? I danced with Lord Damien Blackwell once. The Earl's eyebrows climbed toward his receding hairline. The Duke's brother sent all this after one dance, it would appear so. Her father was silent for a long moment. Then, impossibly, he laughed. Well, perhaps this will be your season after all. The flowers were only the beginning. By afternoon, a volume of Tennyson arrived with passages marked in pencil. By evening, an invitation to ride in Hyde Park the following morning. By the end of the week, Damien Blackwell had made his intentions spectacularly, publicly, undeniably clear. Lady Margaret arrived on the third day, practically vibrating with excitement. She burst into Rosalind's sitting room without announcement. "It is working. Beyond our wildest expectations, it is working." Rosalind set down her embroidery. She had not slept properly in days. Damien is persistent. Damien is smitten. But more importantly, she leaned closer. The Duke has been seen at 3 events he would normally never attend. The Pemberton Musicale, Lady Ashton's card party, and yesterday the British Museum. Rosalind's needle slipped, pricking her finger. The museum, I was at the museum yesterday. I know. Margaret's smile turned sharp. So was Sebastian Blackwell, in the same gallery, at the same time. Did you not see him? Rosalind's mind raced backward. She had felt something, a prickling awareness, a sense of being watched. I thought I imagined it. You did not imagine it. He is following you, Rosalind. The cold, unfeeling Duke of Ravenswood is tracking your movements across London. That should have felt like victory. Instead, it felt like standing on the edge of a cliff, waiting to fall. The next morning, Rosalind arrived at Hyde Park with her maid trailing at a discreet distance. Damien was already there, golden hair gleaming in the morning light, holding the reins of 2 magnificent horses. "You came." He sounded genuinely surprised. "Did you think I would not?" "I hoped." But hope and certainty are different creatures. He helped her mount his hands, lingering perhaps a moment longer than necessary. "You make me hope, Lady Rosalind, more than I have in years." They rode in comfortable silence along Rotten Row. Damien pointed out acquaintances, shared amusing gossip, made her laugh despite her churning conscience. He was so easy to be with, so uncomplicated, so entirely wrong for her heart. They had nearly completed their circuit when Damien's posture changed. "Ah, it seems we have company." Rosalind followed his gaze. Her heart stopped. Sebastian Blackwell sat astride a black stallion at the edge of the path. Alone. Watching. He looked like a storm given human form. Damien raised his hand in cheerful greeting. "Brother, what an unexpected pleasure." "Is it?" Sebastian's voice carried across the distance. "I was unaware you rose before noon, Damien. Lady Rosalind brings out my better nature." Damien's smile held an edge Rosalind had not seen before. "You should try it sometime. Having a better nature, that is." The brothers stared at each other. Something unspoken crackled between them. Rosalind felt caught in a crossfire she did not fully understand. Sebastian turned his attention to her. "Lady Rosalind, you ride well." "Thank you, Your Grace. I learned young. From your father, from necessity. We could not always afford a groom, so I learned to manage my own mount." She did not know why she told him that. It was not the sort of thing one admitted in polite society. But something about his direct gaze made her honest. Sebastian's expression flickered. Resourcefulness is an undervalued quality in young women of the ton. They are taught to be ornamental rather than capable. It is a waste. Damien laughed, but the sound was forced. "My brother, the radical." "Shall we continue our ride, Lady Rosalind, before Sebastian starts lecturing about women's education?" Sebastian's jaw tightened. "I would never presume to lecture Lady Rosalind. She is clearly capable of her own thoughts. Unlike some. The insult landed. Damien's smile vanished. What is that supposed to mean? It means nothing. Sebastian gathered his reins. Enjoy your ride, Lady Rosalind. He nodded once, then turned his horse and disappeared down a side path. Damien stared after him. Rosalind watched the tension drain from his shoulders, replaced by something that looked almost like hurt. He was not always like this, Damien said quietly. Before Eleanor, he was my best friend. Not just my brother. My friend. Now I feel as though I am competing with a ghost I never even knew. Rosalind's guilt twisted. What happened to her? To Eleanor, Damien was silent for a long moment. She was lovely, kind, patient with Sebastian's intensity in a way few people could be. They were engaged for 6 months. The wedding was a week away when she fell ill. Typhoid fever. Sebastian sat by her bed for 3 days without sleeping, without eating, holding her hand while she burned alive from the inside. Rosalind's eyes stung. Damien, I am so sorry. He shook his head. She died on what should have been their wedding day. Sebastian has never forgiven himself. He believes if he had called for different doctors, insisted on different treatments, she might have lived. He carries her death like a stone around his neck. No wonder he is afraid to love again, Rosalind thought. No wonder he keeps everyone at a distance. But understanding did not change anything. She was still using Damien to reach a man who might be too broken to reach at all. Lady Thornton's garden party arrived like a test designed specifically to destroy her. Rosalind stood near the refreshment table, watching Damien charm a circle of matrons while simultaneously trying not to search for Sebastian. She failed. Her eyes found him immediately. He stood alone beneath an oak tree wineglass untouched, watching her with an intensity that made her skin burn. Lady Vivian Cresswell materialized beside her. "You have caused quite a stir, Lady Rosalind." Vivian's smile did not reach her eyes. The wallflower suddenly blooming. 2 brothers circling. One wonders what your game might be. "I was not aware I was playing one." "Were you not?" Vivian's laugh tinkled like broken glass. "How refreshing, because from where I stand it looks quite calculated." The transformation. The sudden interest in Lord Damien, the way you position yourself to always be in the Duke's line of sight. Rosalind's blood chilled. "I do not know what you mean." "I think you do." Vivian leaned closer. "I have spent 3 years carefully cultivating Sebastian's interest. 3 years of patient strategy waiting for his grief to fade enough that he might see me. And now you appear in your red dress, throwing yourself at his brother, and suddenly he cannot look away from you. I have no designs on the Duke." "Liar." Vivian's eyes hardened. "But it does not matter. Sebastian will never choose a nobody from a middling family with no fortune and no connections. He needs a duchess who can match his consequence, someone like me. Then you have nothing to worry about." "No, I do not." Vivian smiled, all teeth. "But you do. Because I will destroy you before I let you have him." She swept away, leaving Rosalind shaking. A hand touched her elbow. She spun. Sebastian stood there, his grey eyes darker than she had ever seen them. "What did Lady Vivian say to you?" "Nothing of consequence." "You are trembling." "It is cold. It is 70 degrees. Rosalind lifted her chin. "Why do you care what Lady Vivian said to me? I thought you did not participate in social intrigues." Sebastian's jaw tightened. "I do not. But I find myself concerned. You look distressed." Your concern is noted and unnecessary. I am perfectly well. You are lying. The word hung between them. Rosalind stared at him. Excuse me. You lie, Sebastian said softly when you are afraid. Your voice becomes too steady, too controlled. You are doing it now. How would you know how I sound when I lie? Because I have been watching you for 3 years. The world stopped. Rosalind forgot to breathe. What did you say? Sebastian's expression shifted. Something like panic flickered across his features, quickly suppressed. I said I have observed you at various functions. It is nothing remarkable. You said 3 years. You said you have been watching me for 3 years. I misspoke. No, you did not. Rosalind stepped closer. She should not push. She knew she should not push, but she could not stop herself. 3 years. Your Grace, that is how long I have been on the marriage market. 3 years of being invisible. And you are telling me you noticed Sebastian's walls slammed back into place. She could see it happen, the softening in his eyes hardening to stone. I notice many things. It means nothing. Then why are you here? Why are you at every event I attend? Why did you follow me in Hyde Park? Why are you standing here now asking what Lady Vivian said to me when you claim not to care? Because I do not trust her. That is not an answer. It is the only answer I will give. Rosalind laughed. The sound was bitter even to her own ears. Of course, the Duke of Ravenswood, master of control. Heaven forbid you actually admit to a human emotion. You want me to admit something? Sebastian's voice dropped to a dangerous register. Fine. I admit that watching you flirt with my brother makes me want to put my fist through a wall. I admit that I cannot sleep for thinking about the way you looked in that red dress. I admit that every time Damien touches you, I imagine tearing him away from you and demanding to know why you are wasting yourself on someone who will never challenge you, never push you, never see the fire burning beneath your carefully constructed calm. Rosalind could not move, could not speak, could not do anything but stare at him. Sebastian exhaled sharply. There. You wanted honesty. That is honesty. Now, if you will excuse me, I need to leave before I do something we will both regret. He turned. Rosalind grabbed his arm. Wait. The muscle beneath her fingers was iron. Sebastian looked down at her hand, then up at her face. Let go, Lady Rosalind. Not until you answer one question. You have had enough answers for one day. Just one. She tightened her grip. If you feel all of that, why have you never done anything about it? 3 years, Sebastian. 3 years of watching and wanting. Why did you never speak to me? Never dance with me? Never once give me any indication that you knew I existed? Pain flashed across his features, raw, undisguised. Because everyone I love dies, or leaves, or both. And I decided a long time ago that some things were better left unfelt. That is cowardice. Yes, it is. But it is also survival. He pulled free of her grasp and walked away. This time, Rosalind did not follow. Damien found her 20 minutes later, still standing in the same spot, wineglass untouched and warming in her hand. You look as though you have seen a ghost. Several, actually. He studied her face with concern. What happened? Did someone say something to upset you? Rosalind thought about lying. She was good at it, apparently. Too good. Your brother, she said instead. He confuses me. Damien's expression shifted. Something complicated moved behind his eyes. Sebastian confuses everyone. It is one of his less endearing qualities. You spoke with him briefly. And nothing. Rosalind forced a smile. He warned me about Lady Vivian. Apparently he does not trust her. That is rich coming from a man who trusts no one. Damien's laugh held an edge. What exactly did he say? Nothing important. Social pleasantries. Sebastian does not do social pleasantries. He does uncomfortable silences and pointed observations. Damien tilted his head. Are you certain nothing else happened? Rosalind met his eyes. The lie rose easily to her lips. Quite certain. Your brother and I have nothing to say to each other. But even as she said it, she knew the truth. She and Sebastian had everything to say to each other. 3 years' worth of silence to break. 3 years of wanting to unravel. The question was whether either of them was brave enough to speak. That night alone in her room, Rosalind stared at the ceiling and replayed every word Sebastian had said. Watching you flirt with my brother makes me want to put my fist through a wall. Everyone I love dies. She had started this game to make him see her. She had succeeded beyond her wildest dreams, but now she understood what she had not before. Sebastian Blackwell did not avoid love because he was cold. He avoided it because he was terrified. He had loved Eleanor. He had lost her. And the grief had carved something out of him that might never grow back. Could she really ask him to risk that again? For her, could she live with herself if she did not? Margaret's question echoed in her mind. You have tried being good and invisible for 3 seasons. Where has it gotten you? Nowhere. It had gotten her nowhere, but being bold was getting her somewhere dangerous, somewhere that might end with 2 broken brothers and her own heart in ruins. A knock at her door interrupted her spiraling thoughts. Martha entered with a silver tray. This just arrived, my lady. A footman brought it to the servants' entrance. Rosalind sat up. At this hour he said it was urgent. On the tray sat a single sheet of paper folded and sealed with black wax. No insignia. No identifying marks. Rosalind broke the seal. The handwriting was masculine, sharp, almost aggressive. Stop playing games with my brother. He does not deserve to be used as a pawn in whatever scheme you are constructing. If you want something from me, have the courage to ask for it directly. I will be at the Whitmore dinner tomorrow. Find me. Finish this, one way or another. It was unsigned. It did not need to be. Rosalind read the letter 3 times. Her hands were shaking. He knew. Sebastian knew exactly what she was doing. And instead of exposing her, instead of warning Damien, he was challenging her. Come for me directly, he was saying. Stop hiding behind my brother. The game had changed. The prey had become the hunter, and Rosalind had 24 hours to decide whether she was ready to face him. The Whitmore dinner arrived with the weight of an execution. Rosalind stood before her mirror while Martha fastened the buttons of her midnight blue gown, her fingers trembling too much to manage them herself. You look pale, my lady. I am fine. You have not eaten today. I am not hungry. Martha's eyes met hers in the mirror. Whatever is troubling you, my lady, perhaps it would help to speak of it. Rosalind almost laughed. How could she possibly explain I have been manipulating a kind man to make his brother jealous, and now the brother has demanded I face him directly, and I am terrified because I do not know what I want anymore? She said none of this. Instead, she smoothed her skirts and lifted her chin. I am simply tired. The season is exhausting. Martha did not look convinced, but she knew better than to press. The Whitmore townhouse blazed with candlelight when Rosalind arrived with her father. She scanned the crowd, immediately hating herself for it. Damien found her first. He appeared at her elbow with 2 glasses of champagne and a smile that made her stomach twist with guilt. You came. I was not certain you would. Why would I not? Because you have been distant. Since Lady Thornton's garden party, something has changed. I feel as though you are slipping away from me, and I do not understand why. Rosalind accepted the champagne to give her hands something to do. Damien, I have not been myself lately. I apologize if I have seemed distracted. Distracted by what? By whom? The question hung between them. Rosalind opened her mouth to lie, to deflect, to do what she had been doing for weeks. But across the room she saw him. Sebastian stood near the fireplace dressed in severe black, watching her with eyes that burned like ice. He raised his glass slightly. A challenge. A reminder. Find me. Finish this. Damien followed her gaze. His expression shuttered. Ah, my brother. Of course. Damien, it is not what you think. Is it not? He set down his champagne with careful precision. Tell me, Rosalind, and please do me the courtesy of honesty. Have I been wasting my time? Her heart cracked. No, you have been nothing but wonderful. Then why do you look at him the way you should look at me? She had no answer. None that would not destroy him. Damien nodded slowly as though her silence confirmed everything he feared. I see. Forgive me. I need air. He walked away. Rosalind wanted to follow, to explain, to somehow make this right. But Sebastian was already moving through the crowd toward her, and she could not make her feet obey. He stopped an arm's length away. Too close for propriety. Not close enough for what she wanted. You received my letter. Yes. And yet you came. Was that wise? I do not know. But I am tired of being wise. Something flickered in his eyes. Come with me. There is a study down the hall. We need to speak privately. If we are seen leaving together, there will be talk. There is already talk. You made certain of that when you began your campaign to capture my brother's attention. The accusation stung because it was true. Rosalind lifted her chin. Then let us finish this as you said, one way or another. Sebastian turned and walked toward the door. After a moment's hesitation, Rosalind followed. The study was dark, lit only by the fire burning low in the grate. Sebastian closed the door behind them and leaned against it, arms crossed, watching her with an expression she could not read. So, here we are. Here we are. Rosalind's voice came out steadier than she felt. You wanted to speak directly. Speak. Ladies first. What exactly is your game? Lady Rosalind, what do you hope to achieve by toying with my brother's affections? The directness should have thrown her. Instead, it felt like relief. Finally. Honesty. You want to know my game? Fine. I will tell you. But you will not like it. Try me. Rosalind took a breath. 3 years ago I saw you at the Ashworth ball. You stood alone near the columns, looking as though you would rather be anywhere else, and I thought, there is a man who does not belong here, a man who is too real for this artificial world. I watched you all night. I watched you every night after that, and I fell in love with you, Sebastian, stupidly, hopelessly, with a man who never once looked in my direction. Sebastian's expression did not change, but she saw his hands tighten where they gripped his arms. I tried everything, she continued. I wore beautiful gowns. I positioned myself where you might see me. I laughed louder, spoke wittier, did everything the etiquette books suggest. Nothing worked. You looked through me like I was glass. I told you, I noticed you, I have noticed you for 3 years. But you never acted on it. Never spoke to me, never danced with me, never gave me any hope at all. So I decided to create hope. I decided to make you jealous. The word landed like a blow. Sebastian's jaw tightened. Jealous? Yes. I pursued Damien because I knew it would force you to see me. I flirted with him, encouraged him, made him believe I might care for him. All to make you watch, all to make you feel what I have felt for 3 years, wanting someone who does not want you back." Silence stretched between them. Rosalind's heart pounded so loudly she was certain he could hear it. Finally, Sebastian spoke. "And Damien? What about his feelings? Did they factor into your calculations at all?" Guilt crashed over her. "Yes. No, I do not know. I thought it would be simple. I thought he would flirt back, enjoy the game, move on when he tired of me. I did not expect him to actually care. But he does care. I know." Tears burned her eyes. "I know, and I hate myself for it. I never meant to hurt him. I just wanted you to see me, to choose me, to fight for me the way you fight for everything else in your life." Sebastian pushed off the door and moved toward her. Each step felt like a countdown to something inevitable. "You wanted me to fight for you." "Yes, even knowing what I am, what I have done, what I have lost. Especially knowing that." Rosalind held her ground as he stopped inches away. "I do not want the charming, easy version of love that Damien offers. I want the difficult kind, the kind that costs something, the kind that changes you." Sebastian's hand came up to cup her face. His touch was gentle, almost reverent, completely at odds with the intensity in his eyes. "You are either the bravest woman I have ever met or the most foolish. Perhaps both." He laughed. The sound was rusty, as though he had forgotten how. "You manipulated my brother. You played games with my family. You made me feel things I swore I would never feel again. I know. I am sorry." "No, you are not, and neither am I." He kissed her. The world dissolved. Rosalind had been kissed before chaste pecks from hopeful suitors that meant nothing. This was not that. This was consuming, devastating. Sebastian kissed her like he was drowning, and she was air like he had been waiting 3 years for exactly this moment. Her hands fisted in his coat. His fingers tangled in her hair, scattering pins, destroying Martha's careful work. She did not care. She would have let him destroy everything if it meant he kept touching her. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Sebastian pressed his forehead to hers. "This changes nothing." "What, Damien?" "My brother loves you. I cannot betray him." Rosalind pulled back. "Are you serious? After everything we just said, everything we just did, you are going to walk away? I am going to do what is right." "What is right?" "Damien, loving a woman who does not love him back. You denying yourself happiness because you feel guilty for wanting what he wants." "Yes." Sebastian's voice was raw. "That is exactly what I am going to do. Because I have already taken enough from my brother. Our father loved me best. Our mother relies on me more. I inherited the title, the estates, the responsibility. Damien has lived his entire life in my shadow. I will not take you from him too. You cannot take what was never his. He believes you are. Then tell him the truth. Tell him I was using him. Tell him I was never going to choose him." Sebastian shook his head. "I cannot do that to him. He deserves to hear it from you." The door opened. Damien stood in the doorway, his face pale, his eyes moving from Sebastian's dishevelled appearance to Rosalind's ruined hair to the space between them that was far too small for innocence. Well, his voice was perfectly calm, perfectly controlled, perfectly shattered. "I came to apologize for leaving so abruptly. It seems my timing is, as always, impeccable." "Damien." Sebastian stepped forward. "This is not what it looks like, really. Because it looks like you were kissing the woman I love, the woman I was going to propose to tonight. He pulled a small velvet box from his pocket. I even brought the ring. Rosalind's stomach dropped. Damien, please let me explain. Explain what? That you have been playing me for a fool, that every smile, every laugh, every moment I thought we shared was a lie, not all of it. I did care for you. I do care for you, but not the way you care for him. Damien's laugh was bitter. I should have seen it. The way you watched him when you thought no one was looking. The way you tensed whenever his name was mentioned. I told myself I was imagining things. I told myself you chose me. I never promised you anything. No, you were too clever for that. You kept me hoping, wanting, believing, while all along you were waiting for my brother to notice you. Sebastian moved between them. Damien, your anger should be directed at me. I pursued her. I wrote to her. I asked her to meet me here tonight. Damien's eyes widened. You wrote to her, yes, behind my back, while I was courting her, while I was telling everyone who would listen that I had finally found someone worth loving. I am sorry. Sorry. Damien laughed again, the sound cracking. That is rich coming from you. Perfect Sebastian. Noble Sebastian. The brother who has everything and still needs to take more. That is not fair. Fair? You want to talk about fair? Damien stepped closer, his voice rising. I have spent my entire life trying to measure up to you, trying to earn a fraction of the respect you command just by existing. And the one time I thought I had something of my own, you take it. I did not take anything. Rosalind never belonged to you, because you made certain of it. The brothers faced each other. Rosalind watched helplessly as years of rivalry and resentment surfaced in their eyes. I never wanted this, Sebastian said quietly. I never wanted to compete with you for anything, least of all a woman. And yet here we are. Damien turned to Rosalind. Did you ever feel anything real for me? Anything at all? She owed him the truth. She owed him that much. I felt affection, fondness, gratitude for the way you saw me when no one else did, but not love. No, not love. Damien nodded slowly. At least you are finally being honest. He looked at the ring box in his hand, then at his brother, then at Rosalind. For a long moment no one spoke. Then Damien did something unexpected. He laughed. A real laugh filled with something that sounded almost like relief. Do you know the strangest part I think I knew? From the very beginning, I knew you were not looking at me the way I wanted you to. But I hoped. I told myself that given enough time, enough attention, I could make you love me. Damien, Rosalind whispered. Do not. He held up a hand. Do not apologize again. I cannot bear it. He tucked the ring box back into his pocket. I am going to leave now. I am going to find the nearest tavern and drink until I forget this entire conversation. And tomorrow, when I am sober and my pride has stopped bleeding, perhaps I will be able to look at both of you without wanting to commit violence. He walked toward the door. At the threshold he paused. For what it is worth, he said, without turning around, you are well suited for each other. Two people who are too afraid to ask for what they want, so they scheme and manipulate instead. Perhaps that is its own form of love. I would not know. I have always been simple enough to simply say what I feel. The door closed behind him. Rosalind sank into the nearest chair. Her legs would not hold her anymore. I have destroyed everything. Sebastian knelt before her. No, you destroyed a lie. What remains is truth. Your brother hates us. My brother is hurt. There is a difference. Is there? He will never forgive me. He will. Damien has the kindest heart of anyone I know. It is why he fell for you so quickly, and why he will recover faster than you expect. How can you be so certain? Because I know my brother, and because I saw something in his eyes just now. Relief. He knew Rosalind. On some level, he knew this was never going to end the way he hoped. Being forced to accept it is painful, but it is also freedom. Rosalind looked up at him. And what about us? What happens now? Sebastian took her hands. Now we stop playing games. Both of us. I spent 3 years watching you because I was too afraid to act. You spent weeks manipulating my brother because you were too proud to simply tell me how you felt. We have both been cowards in our own ways. So what do? We start over. Honestly this time. Rosalind studied his face. The sharp lines, the grey eyes, the mouth that had kissed her senseless moments ago. I do not know how to do this without games, without masks. I have worn them for so long. Then we learn together. Sebastian lifted her hand to his lips. No more jealousy tactics, no more strategic positioning. Just you and me figuring out what this is. And if the ton talks, let them talk. I am a duke. I can weather scandal, but I am a nobody. A wallflower with no fortune and no connections. The rumors will destroy me. Then I will marry you before the rumors can take root. Rosalind's heart stopped. Marry me? Is that not what you wanted? Was not the entire point of your elaborate game to become my duchess? I wanted you to love me. The title was secondary. Sebastian smiled. The expression transformed his face, made him look younger, softer, almost vulnerable. Then you should know that I do love you. I have loved you since the second season when I watched you comfort a crying debutante whose dress had torn. You did not know anyone was watching. You simply saw someone in distress and helped. That was the moment I knew you were different. Why did you never say anything? Because loving Eleanor killed something in me. When she died, I swore I would never feel that way again. And then you appeared, season after season, and I could not stop watching you, could not stop wanting you. So I buried it. I told myself indifference was safer than risk, and now I am tired of being safe. He kissed her again, gentler this time, a promise rather than a confession. When they finally parted, Rosalind was crying. She did not know when the tears had started. These had better be happy tears. They are, mostly. I am just terrified. Of what? Of deserving this. Of believing it is real. Sebastian wiped her cheeks with his thumbs. Then believe this. I am not going anywhere. I am not dying. I am not leaving. Whatever ghosts have haunted me, I am choosing to let them go. For you. Because of you. She pulled him close and held on as though he might disappear if she let go. Outside the study door, London society continued its dance of ambition and pretense, unaware that two people had just rewritten their futures in the space of an hour. And somewhere in a Mayfair tavern, Damien Blackwell raised a glass to the wreckage of his heart and wondered if pain could ever become wisdom. Only time would tell. The scandal broke before dawn. Rosalind woke to her father's voice thundering through the house louder than she had ever heard it. She barely had time to throw on a dressing gown before Martha burst into her room, face white with panic. "My lady, the Earl is asking for you. He is in the study. He has the morning papers." Rosalind's blood ran cold. "Which paper?" "All of them." She descended the stairs with dread pooling in her stomach. Her father stood by the window holding a newspaper so tightly the edges crumpled. When he turned to face her, She saw something she had never seen before in his mild, distracted eyes. Rage. "Would you care to explain this?" He thrust the paper toward her. Rosalind took it with trembling hands. The headline screamed across the page. "Scandal at the Whitmore dinner, Duke of Ravenswood caught in compromising position with brothers intended." Below it, a breathless account of how Lady Rosalind Ashford had been discovered alone with the Duke in a darkened study, her hair dishevelled, her reputation in tatters. The article named sources. Lady Vivian Cresswell was quoted extensively. "Father, let me explain." "Explain? What possible explanation could there be? You were alone with a man." "A duke? Yes, but a man nonetheless." "And according to this," she tapped the paper viciously, "his brother was courting you. His brother intended to propose. It is complicated." "Complicated?" Her father laughed, the sound hollow. "I have given you everything, Rosalind, every advantage I could afford. 3 seasons, new gowns, music lessons, dancing lessons, deportment lessons. And this is how you repay me. By destroying our family's name in a single evening. I did not mean for this to happen." "What did you mean to happen? Did you mean to play 2 brothers against each other? Did you mean to become the most talked about woman in London for all the wrong reasons?" Rosalind's eyes burned. "I fell in love." The words stopped her father cold. He stared at her as though she had spoken a foreign language. "Love? You did this for love?" "Yes." "And which brother do you love? The one you were publicly courting, or the one you were privately compromising, Sebastian?" "I love Sebastian. I have loved him for 3 years." Her father sank into his chair. He suddenly looked old, exhausted, defeated. 3 years. You have loved the Duke of Ravenswood for 3 years, and you never thought to mention this to me. What would you have done? He never looked at me, never spoke to me. I was invisible to him. So you decided to make yourself visible by flirting with his brother. It was foolish. I know that now. Foolish does not begin to cover it. Her father rubbed his temples. Do you understand what you have done? Our family will be shunned. Invitations will cease. Doors will close. Every connection I have spent 30 years building will crumble because my daughter could not control herself in a darkened room. Sebastian will marry me. Will he? Her father's voice turned sharp. Has he offered? Has he come to me to ask for your hand, or did he simply take what he wanted and leave you to face the consequences? The question cut deep, because Rosalind did not have an answer. Sebastian had said he would marry her, but he had not proposed formally. He had not spoken to her father. And as the morning wore on with no word from Ravenswood House, doubt began to creep in. By noon, the visitors started arriving, but not the kind Rosalind wanted. Former friends came to gawk and gather gossip. Lady Beatrice Thornton swept into the drawing-room with false sympathy, dripping from every word. "My dear Rosalind, how are you bearing up such a terrible situation? I always knew there was something calculating about you, but I never imagined you would stoop to stealing your own suitor's brother. I did not steal anyone. The papers seem to disagree, and Lord Damien himself has been seen drinking at White's since last night. They say he had to be carried home at dawn. Quite destroyed, apparently." Guilt twisted in Rosalind's chest. "I never meant to hurt him." "Did you not?" Beatrice's smile sharpened. "Because from where I sit, it looks very much like you meant to hurt everyone. The brother who loved you, the Duke, who trusted his family's honor, your own father, who has done nothing but support you. All of them sacrificed on the altar of your ambition. You do not understand. I understand perfectly. You wanted to be a duchess. You did not care who you had to manipulate to get there. Get out." Rosalind's voice shook. Get out of my house." Beatrice rose, still smiling. "I will see myself out. But do give my regards to the Duke when you see him. If you see him. I hear he has been quite silent this morning. Not a single word of defence or declaration. One might almost think he regrets his indiscretion." She swept out, leaving Rosalind trembling with rage and fear. Where was Sebastian? Why had he not come? The answer arrived at 3 o'clock in the form of the Dowager Duchess, Helena Blackwell. Rosalind's father nearly fainted when the announcement was made. The Duchess herself, in their modest drawing-room, asking to speak with his daughter. Helena entered like a queen gracing a peasant's cottage. Her eyes swept over the worn furniture and faded wallpaper before settling on Rosalind with an expression that gave nothing away. "Lady Rosalind, I believe we have matters to discuss." "Your Grace." Rosalind curtsied. "I did not expect you. I imagine not." Helena settled into the best chair as though it were a throne. "My son informs me that he intends to marry you, despite the scandal, despite the damage to our family's reputation, despite the fact that you deliberately manipulated his brother to gain his attention." Rosalind's chin lifted. "He told you everything. Sebastian does not lie. It is one of his few virtues." He presented the situation with complete honesty, including your confession about the jealousy game you played. "And yet he still wants to marry me." "He does." Helena's eyes narrowed. "The question is whether I will allow it." "Allow it?" "Your son is the Duke. He does not need your permission. Legally, no. But practically, Sebastian has never defied me in a matter of importance. He values my counsel. He respects my judgment. And my judgment, Lady Rosalind, is that you are entirely unsuitable for the position of Duchess." The words landed like blows, but Rosalind refused to flinch. "With respect, Your Grace, your son disagrees. My son is thinking with his heart instead of his head. It is an affliction I had hoped he outgrew after Eleanor." "Do not speak of her. I will speak of whatever I please." Helena's voice hardened. "I watched my son nearly die of grief after Eleanor passed. I spent 4 years rebuilding him piece by piece. And now you appear with your schemes and your games, and he is willing to throw everything away for a woman who began their relationship with manipulation." "I love him." "Love?" Helena laughed softly. "Everyone claims to love him. Lady Vivian loves him. Half the debutantes in London love him. What makes your love special?" "My love does not want anything from him. I do not care about the title or the fortune or the consequence. I care about the man who hides behind those things, the man who is afraid to feel because feeling destroyed him once. I want to show him that love does not have to mean loss." Helena was silent for a long moment. Her eyes searched Rosalind's face with an intensity that felt like being examined under glass. "You are clever," she finally said. "I will grant you that. Clever enough to understand my son better than women who have known him for years. The question remains whether cleverness is enough. What would be enough courage?" Helena leaned forward. "In approximately 2 hours there will be a ball at Hartington House. Everyone who matters will be there. And they will all be talking about you, about Sebastian, about the scandal. If you truly love my son, you will attend that ball. You will face the whispers and the stares and the contempt, and you will do so with your head held high. You want me to walk into a lion's den. I want to see what you are made of. Any woman can seduce a duke in a private room. But can you stand beside him in public when the world is against you?" Rosalind's heart pounded. "And if I do, if I prove myself, then I will withdraw my objections to the match." Helena rose. "Sebastian will also be in attendance. Whether he approaches you publicly will depend on whether he believes you are strong enough to weather what comes next." She moved toward the door. At the threshold she paused. One more thing. She did not turn around. Damien will be there as well, he insisted. He says he has something to say to you. I do not know what it is, but I suspect it will determine whether this family survives or fractures permanently. The door closed behind her. Rosalind stood frozen, mind racing. In 2 hours, she would face the entire ton. She would face Lady Vivian's triumph and Beatrice's cruelty and 100 strangers who had already judged her guilty. She would face Damien. And somewhere in that crowd, Sebastian would be watching, waiting to see if she was worth fighting for. Martha found her still standing in the same spot 20 minutes later. "My lady, are you well?" "No." Rosalind turned to face her maid. "But I am going to a ball anyway. Bring out the red dress, the one from the Hartington ball." My lady is that wise. After everything that has happened, probably not. But I am done being wise. I am done being careful. Tonight I am going to be exactly who I am. And if London cannot accept that, then London can go to hell. Martha's eyes widened. Then she smiled. "Very good, my lady. I will prepare the dress immediately." The Hartington ballroom fell silent when Rosalind entered. She felt it like a physical wave, the conversation dying, the heads turning, the eyes fixing on her with a mixture of shock and anticipation. She had come alone. Her father had refused to accompany her, too humiliated to show his face. So she walked into the lion's den, without armor, without allies, without anything but the red dress and the stubborn lift of her chin. Lady Vivian appeared first. Of course. Well, well, the fallen woman dares to show her face. I admire your courage, if not your judgment. Lady Vivian. Rosalind's voice carried clearly. How kind of you to speak with me. I understand I have you to thank for the morning papers. I merely shared what I witnessed. The truth is not slander. The truth, you witnessed nothing. You heard gossip and embellished it for your own purposes. I heard you and the Duke were found alone in a compromising position. I reported it accurately. You reported what you wanted people to believe. There is a difference. The crowd had gathered around them now. Rosalind could feel the weight of 100 stares, the hunger for more scandal, more drama, more destruction. Lady Vivian's smile turned vicious. Are you denying that you were alone with the Duke Num? Are you denying that you were compromised? I am saying that what happened between the Duke and myself is none of your concern. It is everyone's concern when a woman of no consequence seduces her way into a dukedom. I did not seduce anyone. The Duke seems to disagree. He has not spoken a word in your defense. Not one declaration. Not one announcement. Perhaps he has realized what the rest of us already knew. You are not worth the scandal. Rosalind's hands shook. She searched the crowd desperately for Sebastian's face and could not find him. Had Helena lied? Was he not here? Or worse, was he here and choosing not to reveal himself? Perhaps she had made a terrible mistake. Then a voice cut through the murmuring crowd, a voice she knew, a voice she had heard. Damien pushed through the onlookers, looking nothing like the golden charmer she remembered. His eyes were shadowed, his jaw was tight, but his voice was steady. Lady Vivian, that is quite enough. Vivian blinked. Lord Damien, I hardly expected you to defend her. I am not defending anyone. I am stating facts. And the fact is that Lady Rosalind did not seduce my brother. If anything, the fault is mine. The crowd gasped. Rosalind stared at him. Yours. Vivian laughed. How could any of this possibly be your fault? Because I pursued a woman who was clearly in love with someone else. I saw the signs and ignored them. I told myself that persistence would win her heart when any fool could see her heart was already taken. Damien's voice carried to every corner of the ballroom. Lady Rosalind was kind to me, generous with her time and attention. She never promised me anything she could not deliver. The mistake was mine for hoping where there was no hope. Damien. Rosalind stepped toward him. You do not have to do this. Yes, I do. He met her eyes. I spent all night thinking about what happened, about what you said, about what my brother said, and I realized something. You told me the truth last night. You said you never loved me, and instead of hearing it, I chose to be angry. You had every right to be angry. Perhaps. But anger does not change reality. He turned to address the crowd. Lady Rosalind Ashford did not steal anything from me because she was never mine to begin with. She and my brother have loved each other for years. I was simply too stubborn to see it. The whispers intensified. Rosalind felt tears threatening and forced them back. "Where is Sebastian?" she asked quietly. "He is here." Damien nodded towards the far end of the ballroom. "He has been here the whole time, watching you face down Vivian alone. He wanted to see if you would fight for yourself before he fought for you. That is cruel. That is Sebastian. He tests everyone, even the people he loves, especially the people he loves. But look at him now." Rosalind followed Damien's gaze. Sebastian stood at the edge of the crowd, grey eyes fixed on her. As she watched, he began to move. The crowd parted before him like water before a ship. He reached her side and stopped. His expression was unreadable, but his hand found hers and gripped it tightly. "You came," he said. "Did you think I would not? I thought you might choose safety over scandal. I am done choosing safety." Something shifted in his eyes. Warmth, pride, love. He turned to face the watching crowd. "I have an announcement." His voice carried with the authority of a man born to command. "Lady Rosalind Ashford has agreed to become my wife. Any further gossip about her character will be treated as a personal insult to the Duke of Ravenswood. I trust I have made myself clear." The silence was absolute. Then from somewhere in the crowd, a single pair of hands began to clap. Damien. His applause was slow, deliberate, almost mocking in its irony. But it was also sincere. Others followed. Hesitantly at first, then with growing enthusiasm. Whatever London society truly thought they knew better than to openly defy a duke. Lady Vivian looked as though she had swallowed poison. "This is not over," she hissed at Rosalind. "Actually it is." Rosalind squeezed Sebastian's hand. "You lost. Accept it gracefully." Vivian turned and fled through the crowd. Sebastian pulled Rosalind closer. "That was impressive. I learned from the best. Damien." He raised an eyebrow. "You." She smiled up at him. "You taught me that the only way to survive in this world is to stop apologizing for who you are. I do not recall teaching you anything." "You did not have to. I watched you. For 3 years I watched you refuse to compromise, refuse to pretend, refuse to be anything other than exactly who you are. It drove me mad with frustration, and it made me love you." Sebastian's grip tightened. "Say that again." "What?" "That you love me. I want to hear it without an audience." "You will have to wait. We have quite a large audience at the moment. Then give them something worth watching." He kissed her, in front of everyone, in front of Beatrice and her gossip and the scandalized matrons and the envious debutantes, in front of his brother, who watched with an expression that was half pain and half peace. When they finally broke apart, the applause had become genuine. Damien appeared at their side. "I suppose I should offer congratulations." "You should." Rosalind reached out to touch his arm. "And I should offer an apology, a real one. I used you, Damien. I convinced myself it was just a game, but you are a person with feelings, and I treated those feelings carelessly." Damien looked at her hand on his arm, then at Sebastian, then back at her. "I will not pretend it does not still hurt, but I understand now why you did it. And in a strange way, I am grateful. Grateful. You showed me what real love looks like. Not the easy kind I thought I wanted, but the difficult kind. The kind that makes you take risks and face consequences and fight for what you believe in." He smiled, and it was almost his old smile. "Now I know what I should be looking for. Someone who would scheme and manipulate and burn the world down just to be with me." "You will find her," Rosalind said. "I know I will, because I refuse to settle for less." He turned and walked away into the crowd. Sebastian watched him go. "He will be all right," Rosalind said. "Yes, he will be." Sebastian pulled her close again. "But we should give him space and time and possibly another continent." He is talking about travelling again. He mentioned Italy, or perhaps Egypt, somewhere far from London and the memories here. Is that running away? It is healing. Sebastian's voice softened. "Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is leave. I wish I had understood that 4 years ago, after Eleanor. Yes. I stayed and let the grief consume me. Damien is smarter. He knows when to fight and when to retreat." Rosalind leaned into him. "What do we do now? Now we plan a wedding and face my mother, who is pretending to disapprove but is secretly delighted, and figure out how to build a life together despite starting with manipulation and scandal. That sounds complicated. Everything worth having is complicated." She looked up at him. "I have a confession." "Another one." "This one is smaller." She smiled. "I never actually liked Turner's paintings that much. Damien brought them up and I pretended to know more than I did." Sebastian laughed. The sound was rusty but real. "I know. You knew I saw your face when he mentioned atmospheric perspective. You looked like a student caught without her homework. And you did not say anything. I thought it was charming. The great schemer undone by her own pretensions. You are terrible. I am yours." He kissed her forehead. Terribleness and all. The night stretched on around them. The scandal would continue to simmer. Lady Vivian would continue to scheme. The Tun would continue to judge. But in that moment, none of it mattered. Rosalind had played her game and won. Not the way she expected, not without casualties. But she had won. And as Sebastian led her onto the dance floor for their first public waltz, she realized the truth that had been hiding beneath all her strategies and schemes. She had never wanted to be a duchess. She had only ever wanted to be loved. 2 years had passed since the scandal that nearly destroyed her and Rosalind Blackwell, Duchess of Ravenswood, still woke every morning surprised by her own happiness. The sound of her daughter's laughter echoed through the halls, mingling with the barking of hounds and the distant murmur of servants going about their work. She sat at her writing desk, pen in hand, composing a letter to Margaret that would never adequately capture the absurdity of her current life. "Dearest Margaret," she wrote, "you would not recognize me. I have become one of those women we used to mock. Hopelessly devoted to my husband, ridiculously besotted with my daughter, entirely content with my lot in life. It is disgusting, really. I blame you entirely for suggesting the jealousy game in the first place." She was smiling as she wrote, but the smile faded when small hands tugged at her skirt. "Mamma." Eleanor looked up at her with Sebastian's grey eyes and Rosalind's stubborn chin. "Papa says I cannot have a pony until I am 5. Tell him he is wrong." Rosalind set down her pen. "Your father is not wrong. You are 3 years old. Ponies are for bigger girls. I am big. You are determined. There is a difference." Eleanor's lower lip trembled. The child had inherited her mother's talent for manipulation and her father's intensity. It was a terrifying combination. "What if I promised to be very, very good? You promised that last week when you wanted an extra biscuit. And then you fed it to the dogs. They were hungry. They are always hungry. That does not mean they need your biscuits." Eleanor considered this. What if Papa promises to hold the pony very tightly? What if you wait 2 years like every other child in England? The lip trembled more dramatically. Eleanor had perfected this expression. It worked on the servants, on her grandmother, on half the household staff. It did not work on Rosalind. "Nice try, sweetheart. Go find nurse." "It is time for your lessons." "I do not like lessons. No one likes lessons. That is why they are called lessons and not treats." Eleanor stomped her small foot but obeyed, marching out of the room with wounded dignity. Rosalind watched her go with a mixture of exasperation and overwhelming love. She is going to be a terror when she is older. Sebastian's voice came from the doorway. Rosalind turned to find him leaning against the frame, arms crossed, watching her with that half-smile that still made her heart skip. "She is already a terror. She gets it from you." "From me." Sebastian moved into the room. "I am the soul of restraint and propriety. You threatened to duel Lord Pemberton last month because he looked at me too long at dinner. He did look at you too long. He is 73 years old and half blind. His intentions were clear. His intentions were to find the salt cellar, Sebastian." Sebastian's smile widened. He reached her desk and bent to kiss her forehead. "Nevertheless, I stand by my assessment." Rosalind caught his hand before he could pull away. "You are ridiculous. I am protective. There is a difference." She pulled him closer. 2 years of marriage, and he still smelled like sandalwood and safety. 2 years, and she still could not quite believe he was hers. "A letter arrived this morning," Sebastian said, his tone shifting. "From Damien." Rosalind's breath caught. They had not seen Damien in 18 months. He had left for Egypt shortly after the wedding, sending occasional letters filled with descriptions of ancient ruins and new discoveries. The letters were warm but distant, friendly but careful. He was healing, but slowly. What does he say? He is coming home? Coming home when next month? He says he has news to share. Important news that cannot be conveyed in a letter. Good news or bad news, he does not specify. But knowing Damien, it is either a discovery that will rewrite ancient history or a woman who has finally captured his attention. Rosalind squeezed Sebastian's hand. "How do you feel about seeing him? I do not know." Sebastian's voice was honest. "I have missed him. Every day I have missed him. But I do not know if he has forgiven me. He forgave you before he left. He said the words. That is not the same as feeling them." Rosalind stood and wrapped her arms around her husband. "Whatever happens, we will face it together." Sebastian held her tightly. "I do not deserve you. No, you do not." She smiled against his chest. "But you have me anyway." The weeks before Damien's return passed in a blur of preparation and anxiety. Helena descended upon Ravenswood with an army of servants insisting that everything be perfect for her younger son's homecoming. The blue room for Damien she commanded, fresh flowers in every hall. The cook should prepare his favourites. And for heaven's sake, keep that child away from the dogs during dinner. Eleanor is 3, Rosalind pointed out. She does not understand dinner etiquette. Then she should learn. I had Sebastian reciting Latin at 3. Sebastian caught Rosalind's eye and shook his head slightly. Do not argue. It is not worth it. He had learned over 2 years of marriage which battles to fight with his mother. Helena had accepted Rosalind eventually, grudgingly, after Eleanor was born. A grandchild had softened her in ways nothing else could have, but she was still Helena, still imperious, still convinced she knew best about everything. Has Damien indicated anything else in his letters? Helena asked, settling into her favourite chair. Any hint about this important news? Sebastian shook his head. Only that he is bringing someone with him. A companion, he called her. Helena's eyes sharpened. A companion. A female companion. Apparently. Well, Helena's expression shifted to something almost like satisfaction. Perhaps he has finally moved past his heartbreak. Mother, Sebastian's voice held a warning. What I am merely observing. It has been 2 years. Damien is young and handsome and wealthy. It would be strange if he had not found someone by now. Rosalind felt a complex twist of emotions. Relief that Damien might have found happiness, guilt that his happiness had required leaving his home and family, hope that this meant real reconciliation was possible. What if she does not like us? Rosalind asked. This companion, why would she not like us? Because of the circumstances, because Damien left England because of what I did. Sebastian took her hand. Damien left England because he needed space to heal. That is not the same as blaming you. Is it not? He told you himself. He was grateful. Grateful is a word people use when they do not want to say what they really feel. Enough! Helena's voice cut through their exchange. Whatever happened 2 years ago is done. Damien is returning. He is bringing someone important to him. Our job is to welcome them both and prove that this family can move forward. Can you do that? Rosalind met Helena's eyes. For 2 years they had circled each other, warily bound by Sebastian and Eleanor, but never quite becoming allies. Yes, she said firmly. I can do that. Good. Helena nodded once. Then let us prepare. Damien arrived on a Thursday afternoon, 2 weeks later than expected. His letter of explanation had been brief, delayed by weather. Arriving Thursday. Please do not make a fuss. Helena naturally made a fuss. The household staff lined up in the entrance hall. Eleanor wore her best dress under strict instructions not to mention ponies. Sebastian stood rigid with tension that only Rosalind could see. And then the carriage appeared, and everything Rosalind had imagined flew out the window. Damien stepped down first. He looked different, tanned and broader, with lines around his eyes that spoke of sun and laughter rather than sorrow. His golden hair had darkened slightly, and he moved with a confidence that was new. But it was the woman who followed him that made everyone stare. She was tall and dark-haired, with olive skin and sharp cheekbones, and eyes that seemed to assess everything with quick intelligence. She wore practical travelling clothes rather than fashionable ones, and her hair was pinned up carelessly, as though she had more important things to worry about than appearance. She was, Rosalind realized with a shock, absolutely stunning. Mother. Sebastian. Damien's smile was warm and genuine. And Rosalind, "You all look exactly the same. You look completely different," Helena said, stepping forward to embrace him. "Egypt agreed with you. Egypt was extraordinary, but not as extraordinary as this." Damien turned to help the woman down the final step. "May I present Miss Sophia Castellanos, soon to be Mrs. Damien Blackwell." The announcement landed like a thunderclap. Helena recovered first. "Mrs. Blackwell, you are engaged, as of 3 weeks ago." Damien beamed. "Sophia refused me twice before finally agreeing. She is stubborn that way." Sophia's smile was wry. "I wanted to be certain you meant it. I asked 3 times. What more certainty did you need?" "A 4th time, apparently." They exchanged a look of such easy intimacy that Rosalind felt her throat tighten. This was real. This was love. Damien had found what he deserved. Sebastian stepped forward. "Miss Castellanos, welcome to our family." "Thank you, Your Grace. I have heard a great deal about you. Good things or bad things. Interesting things." Sophia's eyes sparkled. "Damien speaks of you with equal parts admiration and exasperation. I suspect that is how brothers are supposed to feel about each other." Sebastian laughed. The sound startled everyone, including himself. "You are absolutely right. Please call me Sebastian." "We do not stand on ceremony here." "Despite my best efforts," Helena murmured. But she was smiling. "Miss Castellanos, you must be exhausted from your journey. Let me show you to your room. We have so much to discuss." Helena led Sophia away, already launching into questions about the wedding plans. Damien watched them go with an expression of mild terror. She is going to eat Sophia alive. Sophia can handle herself. Rosalind moved to stand beside him. "She seems remarkable." "She is." Damien turned to face her. "She is an archaeologist. Her father was Greek, her mother Italian. She grew up between 3 countries and speaks 6 languages, and once punched a tomb robber in the face for disturbing a dig site. I think I love her already. Everyone does." Damien's smile softened. "She reminds me of you, actually. Of me, the cleverness, the determination, the refusal to be underestimated." He paused. "And she played games with me too at first. Pretended not to care when she did. Made me chase her across half of Egypt before admitting she felt the same." Rosalind felt tears prick her eyes. "Damien, I am so sorry for everything." "I know." He took her hands. "And I forgive you. I forgave you a long time ago, but I needed distance to make the forgiveness stick. And now I am grateful, truly grateful. If you had not broken my heart, I never would have gone to Egypt, never would have found the dig site, never would have met Sophia arguing with a customs official in 3 languages simultaneously." That sounds very specific. It was very specific and very loud. I fell in love with her before she finished insulting the man's parentage. Rosalind laughed. The sound was watery but real. "I have missed you. I have missed you too, all of you, even Sebastian, though I will deny saying that if asked." Sebastian, who had been standing awkwardly to the side, stepped forward. "I heard that. You were meant to." Damien released Rosalind's hands and turned to his brother. "Sebastian, Damien." The brothers faced each other. 2 years of distance. 2 years of letters that said everything and nothing. 2 years of wondering if the wound would ever fully heal. Damien moved first. He closed the distance and pulled Sebastian into a fierce embrace. "I am sorry," Sebastian said, his voice rough, "for taking her, for being too afraid to fight for her openly, For every moment of pain I caused you, I know. Damien tightened his grip. And I am sorry for making you feel guilty. You could not help loving her any more than I could. The difference is that she loved you back. That is not something to apologize for. That is something to celebrate. They held each other for a long moment. Rosalind watched with tears streaming down her face, making no effort to hide them. When they finally pulled apart, both men's eyes were suspiciously bright. Well, Damien cleared his throat. That was more emotional than I intended. It was overdue, Sebastian said. Probably. But let us never speak of it again. My reputation as the charming, shallow brother is at stake. You have never been shallow. Do not tell anyone. I have worked very hard to maintain the illusion. Rosalind stepped between them and took both their arms. Come inside. We have 2 years of stories to share, a wedding to plan, and a 3-year-old who is going to ask your fiancé about ponies within 5 minutes of meeting her. Ponies? Damien raised an eyebrow. Do not ask. It is a whole thing. They walked into Ravenswood together, and for the first time in 2 years the house felt complete. The evening that followed was one Rosalind would remember for the rest of her life. Dinner stretched for hours as Damien and Sophia recounted their adventures. The tomb they had discovered, the ancient artifacts they had catalogued, the sunsets over the Nile that made every hardship worthwhile. Sophia fit into the family as though she had always been there. She sparred with Helena over wedding traditions, debated archaeology with Sebastian, and enchanted Eleanor by producing a small carved sphinx from her pocket. You may have this, Sophia told the wide-eyed child, if you promise not to ask about ponies for the rest of the evening. Eleanor considered the offer. What about tomorrow? Tomorrow is negotiable. Deal. She is going to be a formidable negotiator, Sophia told Rosalind afterward. You should be proud. I am terrified, actually. But thank you. Later, when Sophia had retired, and Helena had grudgingly admitted she approved of Damien's choice, Rosalind found herself alone with both brothers in the drawing room. Damien swirled brandy in his glass. Do you remember what I said the night everything fell apart? Which part I said you were well suited for each other? 2 people too afraid to ask for what you wanted. I remember. I was wrong. Damien looked up. You are not afraid anymore. Either of you. I watched you tonight, the way you look at each other, the way you parent together, the way you argue and laugh and exist in the same space. You are not 2 people hiding behind games and schemes. You are partners, real ones. Rosalind reached for Sebastian's hand. We learned from our mistakes. We all did. Damien raised his glass. 2 mistakes. And the unexpected blessings they bring. They drank together. I have one more confession, Damien said. About Sophia. What about her? She knew about you, Rosalind. About the jealousy game. About everything. I told her the whole story 6 months into knowing her. And she still agreed to marry you. She said it explained a lot about my commitment issues. He smiled. And then she said that any woman clever enough to manipulate a duke deserved respect, not judgment. I think I really do love her. Get in line. She has half of Cairo fighting for her attention. Sebastian leaned forward. Are you happy, Damien, truly? Truly. Damien met his brother's eyes. I thought I knew what love was when I pursued Rosalind. I was wrong. What I felt for her was infatuation, admiration, hope. What I feel for Sophia is different. It is like coming home after a long journey, like finally fitting into a space that was always meant for you. I know exactly what you mean, Sebastian said softly. He looked at Rosalind. Exactly. The wedding took place at Ravenswood 2 months later. Sophia wore her mother's lace veil and carried flowers from the castle garden. Damien cried during the vows to everyone's complete lack of surprise. And when they kissed, the cheers could be heard in the village half a mile away. Rosalind watched from the front row, Eleanor on her lap, Sebastian's hand warm in hers. "Papa," Eleanor whispered loudly, "why is Uncle Damien kissing that lady? Because he loves her, like you love Mama." "Exactly like that." "Oh." Eleanor considered this. "Will I kiss someone someday, when you are much, much older?" "How much older? 40 at least." Rosalind elbowed Sebastian. "Do not traumatize the child. I am being realistic. You are being ridiculous. Same thing." The reception lasted until dawn. Sophia danced with everyone, including a very determined Eleanor, who stood on her new aunt's feet and demanded to lead. Damien watched his bride with an expression of such complete joy that Rosalind had to look away. "You are crying again," Sebastian observed. "I am not. You are. You have been crying all day." "They are happy tears. You have said that 4 times, because it is true 4 times. Sebastian pulled her close. "I love you." Rosalind leaned into him. "I love you too, even after everything. After the games and the manipulation and the scandal, because of everything. You were brave enough to fight for us when I was too afraid to ask for what I wanted. You were honest when I was playing games. You saw me when no one else did. I always saw you. I know. That is why I love you." They swayed together at the edge of the dance floor, watching Damien spin Sophia in circles while the musicians played on. "We should do this again," Sebastian said. "Do what? Have a ball, a proper one, to celebrate everything we have built." Rosalind pulled back to look at him. "You want to host a ball?" "The man who spent our entire courtship avoiding social events. I want to show you off." He smiled. "I want everyone who ever overlooked you, who dismissed you as a wallflower, to see you as the Duchess of Ravenswood. Magnificent, confident, beloved. That is possibly the most romantic thing you have ever said." "I have been practicing." She kissed him, right there in front of everyone, with no care for propriety or scandal. When they parted, Damien was watching them with a knowing smile. "Get a room," he called across the dance floor. "We have several," Sebastian called back. "This is our house." Sophia laughed. "Your family is wonderfully insane." "You have no idea," Damien said. "But you will learn." The night ended with dawn breaking over Ravenswood, with exhausted guests departing in carriages, with Eleanor asleep in her grandmother's arms, with Damien and Sophia stealing away to begin their honeymoon. Rosalind stood on the front steps, watching the last carriage disappear down the drive. Sebastian came to stand beside her. "What are you thinking?" he asked. "I am thinking about 3 years ago, about the woman I was then, so desperate to be seen that I was willing to manipulate and scheme and hurt people to get what I wanted." "Do you regret it?" "No." She turned to face him. "I regret the pain I caused. I regret using Damien. But I cannot regret the result. I cannot regret you or Eleanor or this life we have built." "Good, because I cannot regret anything that brought you to me. Even the scandal, especially the scandal. It forced us both to stop hiding." Rosalind smiled. "I played a dangerous game. You played the only game that mattered." Sebastian cupped her face in his hands. "You made me jealous enough to stop being afraid. You forced me to choose between safety and love. And I chose love. So did I. Then we both won." He kissed her as the sun rose over Ravenswood, painting the sky in shades of gold and rose. 3 years ago, Rosalind Ashford had been a wallflower, invisible and overlooked, watching a man who never looked back. Now she was a duchess, a wife, a mother. She was loved fiercely by a man who had fought his own demons to be with her. She had a family that included the brother she had wronged and the woman who had healed him. It was not the ending she had planned. It was better, because the best love stories were never about perfect people making perfect choices. They were about flawed people making brave ones. They were about taking risks and facing consequences and fighting for what mattered. Rosalind had played a jealousy game, and she had won. Not because she was clever or beautiful or deserving, but because she had been brave enough to want something and bold enough to reach for it. That was the lesson she would teach Eleanor someday. Do not wait to be chosen. Choose yourself first. Fight for your own happiness. And never ever apologize for going after what you want. Sebastian pulled back and looked at her with those grey eyes that had haunted her dreams for years. "Right, brother?" he asked, echoing that first confrontation in the Whitmore study. Rosalind smiled. "Right, brother," she confirmed. "Finally. Forever. The right game, the right choice, the right brother." And as they walked back into their home together, Rosalind Blackwell knew with absolute certainty that every moment of uncertainty, every awkward season, every time she had been overlooked or dismissed had been worth it. Because being loved by Sebastian Blackwell, being seen by him, being chosen by him, was worth any price. She had started as a wallflower. She had ended as a duchess. And the woman in between, the one who schemed and manipulated and refused to give up, had made it all possible. That woman, Rosalind decided, deserved to be proud.